Welcome into the Best in True Crime Podcasting. This is True Crime Tuesday. I'm your host, Tim Dennis. Got a great show in store today, folks. Dumb Crime, Stupid Criminals coming up in just a bit. But first, I have an esteemed guest today. Got a great book, which I read over the weekend. This is it right here. It is called Trial by Ambush, Murder, Injustice, and the Truth About the Case of Barbara Graham. My guest today is a great one. Ladies and gentlemen, it is California native Marcia Clark. She's the author of not only Final Judgment, Snap Judgment, Moral Defense, and Blood Defense, all part of the Samantha Brinkman series. She's also been a practicing criminal lawyer since 1979. She was involved in the trials of Robert John Bardo, Rebecca Schaefer, and of course you know her from the O.J. Simpson trial. But she's also been part of the bestselling Without a Doubt book and much, much more. This book, by far, is an amazing book. It's a book about the case of Barbara Graham, and we want to talk to her today about this. And we've got limited time to do so, so let's get right to it. Ladies and gentlemen, for the first time on True Crime Tuesday, Marcia Clark. Marcia, thank you so much for being on the program today.
My pleasure, Tim. Thanks for having me.
So let's get right to it. First of all, I want to ask you, why dig into this? This case is quite an old case. Why this case?
This is a very good question. I had decided a few years ago that I would take a chance on nonfiction because the previous 9 books had been all fiction series. As you spoke about, the Samantha Brinkman series was one. There was Rachel Knight's series, and there was a standalone called The Fall Girl. And I was thinking, maybe I should give it a try, go into nonfiction. So I wanted to look at a true crime story, but I wanted a story that would have more resonance than just, oh, he's a monster, he's a serial killer, oh, look at that, he killed a lot of people. Okay, so we know these monsters exist. They're just, to me, miswired, pathetic creatures, and I find them completely uninteresting. And I wanted to have a story that actually had layers to it, had principles involved, had issues involved, that had more depth. More gravitas to them than that. Now, I have to say, the story of Barbara Graham is a thriller. I mean, it is a home invasion, burglary, robbery back in 1953 that was its own trial of the century when it went to trial. So it was a very celebrated case. And when I realized that, I almost didn't want to write about it because I figured everybody would have. It was the subject of an Oscar-winning film called I Want to Live, starring Susan Hayward as Barbara Graham. Mm-hmm. And I thought everybody and his brother will have written a book about this. I'm not going to bother. And so I went, but I was curious. It's an interesting story. And then I realized that no, people hadn't written about it, hardly at all. There was one very slim volume devoted solely to the case. It was written by a reporter who covered the trial, but it was tabloid coverage. And the book itself, took me about 2 hours to read it, was filled with inaccuracies that I could tell even from a distance couldn't be true, couldn't be accurate. So I thought, okay, well, that doesn't clear the field. Kathleen Cairn wrote a beautiful book called Proof of Guilt, but that was a focus on the death penalty and other women as well. So no one had really written about the trial of Barbara Graham. And then I started looking into the case itself and found it utterly fascinating. The investigation, the crime itself, which was a brutal, hideous murder of a 65-year-old woman, Mabel Monahan, in her residential home in suburban neighborhood of Burbank, which was just like 2 miles away from where I used to live in Glendale. And the case was tried in Los Angeles. It was its own trial of the century. It was a big sensation. It was national news. And it was a shocking story of a woman at the center of a brutal homicide. Mabel had been found in the hallway of her home, bludgeoned and strangled to death, blood on the walls, the house torn up, obviously ransacked, wound up with 3 or 4 other men in the commission of this hideous crime. And there was no physical evidence, no witnesses. For a couple of weeks, the police were completely at loose ends. They had nothing to go by until finally one informant led to another, and they started to break the case.
Now, Marcia, there's some complexities to this case as well, in that, and we'll get into it just briefly here, that although Barbara is a sympathetic character here, there's some complexities with her as well. I mean, not only her upbringing and how she grew up, but the fact that she's, well, let's put it this way. She has a complex what's a good way to put this, Marcia? I want to put this in a way that
she's no angel.
Okay, good. That's a good way of putting it. Thank you for putting it that way.
Yeah, Tim, she's no angel.
Right.
She, as you say, she had a very, very rough childhood. She was abandoned, neglected, and abused from the time she was born. Her mother did not want her and made it very clear to her from just about day one. And she farmed her out to relatives and then to complete strangers. And when she got older and got sent to reform school, a reform school the mother herself had been in and knew to be a torture chamber where they engaged in disciplinary methods that were nothing short of waterboarding. And Barbara would continually run away and escape, and the mother would send her back in handcuffs every single time. So it was an awful childhood, and yet the mother had two other children that she kept at home. So Barbara could certainly take it personally that she had been rejected by her own mother and couldn't, as she put it, couldn't stand the sight of her. That did not set Barbara up for success, to put it mildly, and she barely made it through the 8th grade. Nevertheless, she was very intelligent. She loved reading. She loved classical music, jazz music. She read Oscar Wilde, Omar Khayyam, and she was beautiful. And that gave her a lot of opportunities, many of which she shouldn't have taken. Marriages to men she shouldn't have been with, et cetera, et cetera. But it was a way of getting by. And her history was that of someone who has very few skills and no money, living on the fringes of society. So bad checks, shoplifting, some prostitution, that sort of thing, nonviolent crimes, crimes just to get by. So that she would wind up in the center of a brutal murder and what we call a felony murder. In other words, a murder that occurs in the course of a felony, like burglary and robbery. It was completely unexpected. It was one of the things that made me so curious about the case. How did someone like her, with a history of complete nonviolence, even though, yes, some, criminality for sure, but these were misdemeanors. Often all she got was probation. I don't think she ever even did jail time. So until one final perjury conviction, which she committed in order to give a friend an alibi for no good reason, stupidly, why? Just to give a friend a helping hand. Because the friends were the only family she had, I think.
Yeah.
In any case, but certainly no violence. And how she wound up in the center of this completely was a shocker and was one of the reasons that I felt I had to write about it.
It becomes kind of an interesting case in that, too, Mabel Monahan becomes someone who, as well, becomes a victim in a sense that she's at the, I want to say, in the twilight of her years, but also is one who, I guess, in a way, is a victim of her spoils as well, isn't she? She's the lady who, she's, I don't want to say a victim of having married well and had a little bit of fortune. She's not overly rich, but she's not destitutely poor. Is that a good way of putting it? She has money, but doesn't know what to do with it, right?
Well, here's the thing. Mabel didn't marry well. Mabel actually was a vaudeville trouper. She was a famous roller skater. She met her husband on the vaudeville circuit. He was a roller skater and ice skater. They became a famous duo, performing together, all kinds of feats. It was really cool. Mabel was a very cool person. She was a trippy lady. Her daughter, Iris, became a performer, taking after her mom, and wound up performing at it was really a speakeasy, actually, but it had a floor show up on top, and below in the basement during Prohibition was a speakeasy run by a man named Tudor Scherer.
Yes.
She auditioned for his floor show, and he hired her, and they dated for a while, and then she married him. He was, at that time, trying to open a gambling operation in Los Angeles, but Mickey Cohen, the ultimate gangster, was controlling the gambling activity in Los Angeles, and it was dangerous for anybody else to encroach. So Tudor Scherer, no fool he, decided to try his hand at Las Vegas, and he became a casino owner in Las Vegas as well as a real estate entrepreneur, very successful. He was also a man about town, not the most faithful husband. Iris eventually had her fill of it and divorced him. He was very generous in the divorce. He gave her a lot of money and jewelry and the house in Burbank. She didn't want the house. It had bad memories for her. She gave the house to Mabel. Mabel had never had a house before. She had lived on the vaudeville circuit, which meant hotel after hotel across the country. But as a result, because she had never lived alone in a house, she was very security conscious. So she would never open the door, kept everything locked and buttoned up. And she remained very close with Tudor Scherer. But they really got along. They just really liked each other. So when Tudor would come to town, he'd always come and stay or visit Mabel. That started the rumor mill going among the criminals in Los Angeles that Tudor Scherer was actually funneling money to Mabel Monahan, stashing money away in a safe in her house in order to hide it from taxes and hide it from the government. This was a fairy tale. It wasn't true, never was true, but they all believed it. And so for a while, there were a couple of years, it started, I think, in 51, they started rumoring about how to knock over Mabel Monahan's house and break into that safe. In 53, the plans came to fruition, and they met up with Baxter Shorter, who was called a boxman. That means a safecracker. And he knew where Mabel lived. He knew all about the story, in fact, had cased her house before in 1951. So in 53, he met up with Barbara's cronies. Emmett Perkins was her buddy. Mm-hmm. He was running gambling houses in Los Angeles. They were, of course, illegal, but he was, all of these guys were kind of loosely associated with Mickey Cohen, so it was safe. She was Emmett Perkins' dice girl. A dice girl is basically a shill. She would hang out at hotel bars because she was very pretty, and men would try to pick her up. And she would say, when they said, let's go someplace private, she would say, but on the way, let's stop at this little gambling house, and then persuade them to drink and part with their money gambling. And so she was tight with Emmett Perkins. Emmett was also very friendly with Jack Santos. Jack Santos, no one knew this. I think Barbara didn't know. Emmett certainly did. Jack Santos was a mass murderer and a thief and had committed multiple murders in Northern California. No one knew this down here, other than Emmett, who probably did at least one of those murders with him. Jack Santos showed up around the time that they decided to commit the home invasion robbery of Mabel Monahan. The reason that Barbara got involved is because they knew Mabel would never open the door to a man. No way. They needed a decoy. Barbara was a perfect decoy. Petite, beautiful, young. She knew how to knock on the door and say, my car broke down. Could you please just let me use your phone? And Mabel, thinking, okay, this is probably safe, let her in. The men came in behind her.
Now, that's most of the crew. There's one other person who comes into this picture, which rounds out the crew, that ends up on that fateful day murdering Mabel Monahan. And I tell you what, we're getting almost to the point where we want to take our break here. There's a man by the name of John True who comes into this story. Where does John True enter into this story? And once we tell people where John True comes in, then we'll take our break here.
Okay. John True was a deep sea diver. He was the only one who did not officially have a criminal record. He became buddies with Jack Santos up in Grass Valley in Northern California. And they hung out together for a while, and he thought Jack Santos was just a swell guy. Nobody meeting Jack Santos would agree with that. And then he came down to Los Angeles with Jack Santos on the promise that they were going to do something big.
Okay, so we've got our players here that are about to come into Mabel Monahan's house that think that there's some sort of fortune to be had here. Now, Mabel was going to go gambling that night. Mabel, of course, has a little bit of a fortune in her purse that she wants to go gambling with, which I find unusual that she's got this here, but she's got this fortune courtesy of her daughter. And this is where the misconstrued idea of her having some money comes from. But essentially, this crew shows up at the door. Barbara is there under the name of Mary. This is how they know her, I guess, right? She comes to the door. She's about to knock. Mabel's about to answer. This is where we are at right now. The crew is assembled. They're about to come to Mabel's door. Bedlam is about to ensue. When we come back, we'll talk to Marcia about what exactly happens at night and where things go from there, because the tale is about to get a little bit out of hand, we'll put it that way, and how Barbara ends up getting charged with murder, because really all she is the setup gal. All she's supposed to do is knock on the door and get out of the way. They're supposed to find the supposed safe that's in this house and get this money and go. There's not supposed to be a murder here. Mabel's just supposed to be put to the side and they're supposed to leave. Somehow, Mabel ends up dead. We'll talk to Marcia about how Mabel ends up dead and Barbara ends up facing the gas chamber. That's coming up next. The name of the book is Trial by Ambush, Murder, Injustice, and the Truth About the Case of Barbara Graham. We have a link in the description of this program. We want you to go get it right now. It's a wonderful book, folks. When we come back, more about Barbara Graham and how she ended up facing the gas chamber right here next on the best in true crime podcasting. This is True Crime Tuesday. Welcome back to the best in true crime podcasting. This is True Crime Tuesday. I'm your host, Tim Dennis. My guest is Marcia Clark. The name of the book is Trial by Ambush, Murder, Injustice, and the Truth About the Case of Barbara Graham. It's available right now. We have a link in the description of this program. When we left you last, we were talking about Mabel Monahan and the fact that she's just about to answer her door, and Mary, a.k.a. Barbara Graham, is on the other side of it. And she's about to change Mabel Monahan's life for the worse. Now, Marcia, at this point, Barbara knocks on the door. Everybody enters. What happens from there?
So what happens, to be a little more granular about it, Barbara knocks on the door. Mabel opens it. The moment Barbara steps in, John True steps in behind her. And Jack Santos said, you go help her. And what was supposed to happen is exactly what you said. They were supposed to just keep her sequestered, keep Mabel out of the way while they ransacked the house. That's all that was supposed to happen. But that's not what happened. For at least a couple of minutes, Barbara and John True were alone with Mabel Monahan in the house. And then the others who were waiting outside were worried that things were taking too long. And after some period of time, it's not clear how many minutes, but Jack Santos walked in behind them with Emmett Perkins. And they saw that Mabel Monahan had been pistol whipped and was lying in John True's lap. And then Jack Santos tied a garrote around her neck and tied it tight enough to start choking her. And then Emmett Perkins pistol whipped her again. Because she was making too much noise. At that point, all the men disperse around the house and start to ransack it. And they tear up the furniture, they tear up the carpets, they throw around the furniture. They're looking for a basement. Of course, there is none. California really doesn't have basements. Yeah. And then wind up even going through Mabel's closet, where they upend all of her purses, except for the one she had used that night to go play poker, because she had a regular poker game that she would play at, after which, like at 3 or 4 in the morning, they'd go out to lunch, they called it, and have lunch and then come back. And a friend of hers spent the night and then left that afternoon. So in her purse, left hanging on the wall in her closet, was hundreds of dollars and all kinds of expensive jewelry, platinum, gold, silver, diamonds, you name it. And they hadn't touched it. They'd missed it. But the police, who could find no physical evidence, were at first thinking it was a ransacking and it was a robbery, a burglary. But when they found that purse, they had to wonder, not only do we not know who done it, we don't know why they did it. So the police were faced with nothing but questions. As I said, they fanned out and they found informants to talk to them one by one. It took them a while to squeeze somebody who actually had some information. And then they came up with the name Baxter Shorter, the safecracker. He was the one who told them where Monahan lived, and he was the one who was supposed to be the lookout. He had nothing to do with the actual murder. He was the lookout, but he was the one who gave the statement about what he found when he ultimately went into the house. He was the last to go inside and saw Mabel Monahan lying in the hallway, beaten to death and strangled. He was very concerned. He was worried. She was probably still alive, or at least he thought so at that time. And he kept saying, we've got to do something for her. We've got to save her. She's going to die. And he said the men all looked at him like, what are you talking about? Ooh. So when they got done, and the whole thing took maybe 15 minutes. When they got done, he left and he ran to a payphone as soon as he could find one, called 911 and said, go to this address, Parkland Avenue. Help somebody quickly. The problem is, he told them it was in Los Angeles. There was no Parkland Avenue in Los Angeles. It was only in Burbank. So the ambulance never came. Mabel Monahan died.
Oh, no. So Baxter Shorter is the only one with a conscience in that whole crew.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's great. I mean, I have his complete transcript, his own words that were taken down by a stenographer in the book. So you get line for line, word for word, exactly what he told the police. And he was horrified by it. He was the only one who cared, apparently. I think Barbara did, but she was really sidelined. He attributes to her at one point, Mabel Monahan was groaning, and somebody was saying she's being too loud. And he claims that Barbara said, well, then knock her out, to keep her quiet, not kill her.
Yeah.
I don't know whether that's accurate or not. If so, that doesn't look good for Barbara, but it certainly doesn't show an intent to kill.
Now, somewhere in here, the worm turns and something happens with Baxter's testimony to the police, and John True ends up co-opting it. And he decides he needs to step forward before he gets popped. How does that happen?
So as they were preparing for trial, they had Baxter Shorter. They also had another witness who could corroborate him, because when you have an accomplice testifying, you have to corroborate their testimony, but with other evidence, independent evidence that links the defendants to the crime. So just the word of an accomplice alone is not enough. They had that. They had someone else who was on the outside, kind of on the fringes of it all, named William Upshaw. He could do enough to connect everybody together because he was present during the planning stages of the crime, but did not take part in it. He backed out. But Baxter Shorter was kidnapped at gunpoint before they could get to trial and disappeared and presumed dead. Whoa. And most likely was killed by Emmett Perkins and Jack Santo. The police were then desperate. Now what? We have no case. They fanned out, they picked up Barbara and the two men, Emmett Perkins and Jack Santos, but they couldn't really hold them for very long because they didn't have enough to prove the murder with Baxter Shorter gone. Then they went after John True, and they squeezed him for 3 days. They had his friends come to jail. They had everybody that they could think of to pressure him, including a man who was an older man, a mentor of John True's. Eventually, they persuaded him. But he made sure he got the word of the district attorney himself, getting on the phone and said, I want complete immunity or I won't testify. And he got it, complete immunity in return for his testimony.
So you've got a guy who's less than reputable, who was in on the crime, and magically John True has a story that's somewhat like Baxter Shorter's story. Now, how did he end up getting Baxter Shorter's story and repeating it not only to the police, but then on the stand in the trial?
So first of all, his first statement to the police did not mirror Baxter Shorter's story very much. Okay. It was, and this is a statement, by the way, this first statement that he gave to the police was never revealed to the defense. Okay. It was buried. They hid it from the defense, and that was a discovery violation of the highest order. That is something that even back in 1953 was illegal, and certainly would have gotten them sanctioned and might have caused a mistrial had it been revealed. But it was never revealed. But when he finally did go to trial, John True's story did magically match that of Baxter Shorter's in many respects. And what he did was simply co-opt what Baxter Shorter said about going and calling the ambulance and trying to get help for Mabel Monahan. He never did any such thing. But someone showed him the statement Baxter Shorter had given, and so he knew what to say to make himself look like the hero and the savior and rescuer of Mabel Monahan, and put all of the blame on Barbara, or as much as he could, saying she was the one who pistol whipped Mabel Monahan and he was trying to hold her back.
And I want to go backwards a little bit here with the little bit of time we have left remaining, and I want to get back to Barbara Graham. Barbara Graham now has been put in jail, and she's given an attorney by the name of Jack Hardy. At this point, I don't think people realize in 1953, the attorney that's given to you is basically out of pocket. He's representing for free. He has very little resources. He's doing whatever he can to basically investigate what he can. And he's doing what he can to basically defend poor Barbara Graham. And I say poor Barbara Graham in this respect, even though he doesn't know that she's involved here. Now, he asks her, where were you that night? And Barbara Graham says, what?
I don't know. She says, I don't remember. I don't remember where I was. And she maintains that for a very long time. I should let you know that that was the only defense she could claim back then, and in many states still. If you're involved in a felony murder, in other words, if you're involved in a robbery and someone dies in the course of it, you're on the hook for it, even if it was an accident, even if you took no part in the murder, even if you were just standing around as a bystander who is, trying to help with the burglary. You're on the hook for murder. That's called the felony murder rule. Your only defense then, because there is no such thing as self-defense in that case, is alibi. You have to claim you weren't there. It wasn't me. So, and back then for sure, that was the only defense. In California today, we have a little more nuance, and we do grade culpability a little differently if you don't take part in the murder. But back then there was no such thing. So she was guilty of murder no matter what, as long as she was there taking part in the burglary. So she had to say that, but she didn't come up with any other alibi either. And she kept telling her lawyer she didn't know where she'd been. And the lawyer kept telling her, if that's all you say, you're going to get convicted and you're going to the gas chamber. And so the pressure was mounting on Barbara throughout. Come up with an alibi, come up with an alibi.
Now, at one point during the trial, there is a neighbor that comes forward. They do find a neighbor that says, you know what, I did hear you and your husband arguing, but there's a discrepancy as to a date as to when they were arguing. It could have been during the time that Mabel Monahan was being murdered. It could have been the day before, it could have been the day after. What was the discrepancy there?
Well, that was the problem. The neighbor was actually, so we should say, Barbara eventually did come up with an alibi. And that was another problem that was created for her. This was a trial with so many twists and turns, it was its own thriller. One thing after another happened as the police and prosecution went after her, hammer and tong, to set her up and make sure she got convicted. So I've never seen a defendant being chased around the way they chased her around. Even a federal district judge, looking at the case later, said he found the behavior of the prosecution to be unseemly, which you don't hear judges say that very much. So she wound up with a neighbor saying that, yes, a very young, sweet girl who was actually crippled and in a wheelchair, who said, I know for sure it was this particular night, the night of the murder, because I had gone to the hospital for treatment that day and I was home that night, et cetera, et cetera. She was very sure it was the night of the murder. She wasn't unsure. The prosecution was trying to shake her and show that she couldn't be right. The records in the hospital didn't corroborate her statement, et cetera, et cetera. I think if the trial had gone a little differently and they had not set Barbara up the way they had, which you'll see in the book as to how they did that, she might have actually, this witness might have persuaded the jury that Barbara was not there, at least enough to create a reasonable doubt.
You allude to the way they set her up in the book. The way they set her up in the book actually led to certain, is it fair to say certain laws in this country that allow for defendants to be protected in this country from prosecutors being able to set up a defendant in dirty type ways to get them to confess to crimes? Is that a fair way to put it?
It's, yeah. In essence, this was probably one of quite a number of cases that led to the rule that Messiah versus United States. And it said, if you have been appointed counsel and you've been indicted, the police may not put somebody in the cell with you, a snitch, an undercover cop, whatever, to get a statement out of you. That would violate your Sixth Amendment right. So that case had not come down by the time Barbara was on trial. It would be a few years before that became the law.
It's a fascinating book, Marcia, I tell you. And you know, it's one of those books that really, it tugs at your heartstrings, because you say to yourself, although Barbara's not completely innocent, you wonder, had she been allowed to live, had she been allowed to, even if given a life sentence, had she served out her life sentence and been allowed to come back out to the outside, had she been rehabilitated, had that soul been allowed to live, what good would she have done had she been allowed to be put back on the outside? Because it seemed to me that this experience shook her to her core.
Right. And this was the most, I mean, she had only ever been in and out of custody, I would imagine not even one day before this, for shoplifting and that sort of thing. And she did the most time she ever did for the perjury rap up north in San Francisco. But after that, never again. And so this whole experience was just out of body for her. I mean, the reason that she was available to be trapped the way she was by the prosecution is because she was relatively naive and too trusting. And so another inmate who was primed to work for the police was able to gain her trust and her loyalty. And so it was her downfall. I think that Barbara had children with whom she wanted to reconnect, and she was very much close to her youngest son, Tommy, who did come to visit her while she was in custody during the trial. And she would have been able to, I think, establish some kind of connection with them had she been allowed to live. It's a shame for so many reasons.
Absolutely. You'll find out the outcome, folks, when you get the book. The book is Trial by Ambush, Murder and Justice, and the Truth About the Case of Barbara Graham. It's available right now. We have a link in the description of this show. Marcia Clark, I want to thank you so much for being with us today on True Crime Tuesday.
Thank you so much, Tim. It's been a pleasure.
Pleasure's been all ours. Thank you so much for being with us. Folks, it's time for us to lighten things up a bit. It's time now for us to go to Jessica Freeberg, and it's time now for Dumb Crimes and Stupid Criminals.
It's Crayon News Storytime.
What happened with this dude, Christ Bearer? I heard he cut his penis off and then jumped off a balcony.
Suspect pulls gun from butt, shoots twice at Denver police.
What is your emergency?
I need help.
And what's the problem?
I'm too high.
You're too high?
Yeah.
It's that time, the time you've all been looking forward to. It's time once again for Dumb Crimes and Stupid Criminals. And with that, we reach across town. We look for a co-hostess. We bring in one with talent. We bring one in with the funny. We bring one in with the easy on the eyes. We bring one in with the all-around package. Ladies and gentlemen, she's talented. She's known around the world for her writing. She's known all around the world for her wit. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Jessica Freeberg. Jessica, how the hell are you?
I'm so good. I was just yelling into my microphone while it was on mute.
Oh, good. Well, that won't get you very far, but why not?
You put so much pressure on me. I'm all discombobulated. I can't even figure out how to speak into my microphone, Tim.
That's all right. That's fine. You're fine. You're good. Things are good there?
Super good.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
I mean, we're coming up on Christmas, and so the kids are all going to be coming home. They're going to make the pilgrimage back to the home base for the holiday.
Wow. Pilgrimage. Holy cow.
Yes.
That's a thing.
I know. It's quite a thing. We've got one driving up from the south, and we've got one flying in from the west.
Wow. Jeez. That's an effort.
No, it is.
Jeez. All I had to do
May the weather hold out for them and get home safely.
That was very nice. May the weather hold out. That was very Dalai Lama of you. For people who couldn't see it on the audio podcast, may the weather hold out.
I'm praying.
I see that. Yeah. Well, I hope it does hold out. Lately it's been downright frigid here in the Midwest. So we're hoping. Yeah. Hoping it.
I think it's going to snow on Thursday, which is when Ella flies in.
Hey, yeah.
Be okay.
Let's hope so. I hope everything works out very well. So
yeah, I'm excited for everyone to be home. How about you? Do you guys have plans for the holiday?
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of, we're hoping for all new programming here on the holiday.
Yes.
Yeah, we're gonna put some programming together for you, so you as well there at home have all new programming for the holiday. Yeah, good stuff. Yeah, so you got some stuff to listen to if you don't want to watch football, stuff like that.
Yeah, there will definitely be some dumb crimes and stupid criminals happening because people get amped up this time of year.
I've got a Christmas edition in mind for Dumb Crime, Stupid Criminals. I've got some dumb Christmas facts involved in their deal as well.
That sounds fun.
We may also, for the Christmas edition of, because, Christmas Eve falls on True Crime Tuesday. And then Wednesday is actually when we would normally do Supernatural News. But I may do, instead of doing Supernatural News on Wednesday, I think we may actually do more of a Christmas-like program. So we might actually do like ghost stories and stuff like that.
Yeah, the ghosts of Christmas past.
Yeah, so we may actually do like a little ghost story segment on Wednesday. And then Thursday, I'm still trying to decide what we're going to do for Thursday. Maybe I'll move Supernatural News to Thursday. I don't know.
Yeah, flop it around.
Yeah. Don't go all willy-nilly with the bit.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
You can do that. You're in charge.
That's what I hear. But then, then the next week, Jess, the next week already, we got something like an anniversary show coming up.
It's exciting.
Yeah, I don't know what we're going to do for that, though. I don't know.
We should have a party.
We kind of, between Mallie and I, we were kind of talking about, it's the 19th anniversary this year. We were talking about having a big blowout party for the 20th.
I mean, seriously.
Like taking it on the road.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like taking it on the road for the 20th. Like doing a big trip for the 20th.
I would be down. Let's go.
Like with all our friends.
Yeah. You, me, Mallie, all the friends.
Yeah. And I mean, like all our friends in the audience, too.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Taping shows on the road.
We'd have a lot of people who would want to hook up with us somewhere to like do an investigation, have a little party.
And maybe even inviting the very first guest we ever had on the program. There's a little hint for you.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Really throwing it back, Tim.
See? So just a little hint for it. But see, that's a whole year away. So there's a lot of planning to do for that deal, but that'd be for the 20th anniversary. And I was thinking of maybe, because there's a lot of, shows that are celebrating their 20th anniversary that year. So it's not only us, but also it's Spooky South Coast that'll be doing Coast. Listen to me with my Minnesota accent, Spooky South Coast, and Tim Weisberg. And also, why is his name escaping me right now? The other big guy.
You're seeing his face all vividly in your brain.
I am.
You just can't find the name.
I've only been on his program many, many times, and I can't think of his name. Why isn't that? But yeah, there's 3 podcasts that are all celebrating their 20th anniversary in the same year. So I'm thinking, why not all 3 of us do a little jammy jam together?
Yeah, a little collaboration.
Yeah. So,
The wheels are turning. I'm really good at planning parties like this, so
well,
tag me in, Tim.
I'm tagging you in. So I'm thinking we might have to do some sort of spectacular. We might have to do some year-long celebration type deal. Actually, I talked to Tim Weisberg about doing some sort of a trip together. So at one time or another, we might have to hook that up yet this year. So big things in store for the old program. So yeah, we'll get it figured out. There's time.
Yeah, there's plenty of time.
Yeah.
We'll do something wonderful.
Yeah, exactly. So speaking of trips, Jess, there's a trip coming up here, New Year's weekend, to the Palmer. We need to remind people. I feel like I've been failing to remind people that you've got this wonderful deal going on right now. Tell people about it.
We do. We have a very fun weekend, the first weekend of the year. So January 3rd. It starts on the Thursday night, and we do a sip and paint that night. And then Friday, we have the costume party with the live band and do some fun stuff with that. And then Saturday, we have workshops, and we're kind of focusing this one on manifesting what you want in 2025 and We have art workshops, writing workshops, and then, of course, paranormal investigation on Saturday night. So I have a discount code for you guys, which is Darkness30, if you want to get 30% off your tickets, and you can join us. It'll be a lot of fun. Kid-friendly, 13 and up, I always say, but...
Right on. Right on.
Yeah.
It's a perfect way to ring in the new year.
Yeah, bring your family. Merry Christmas.
And makes a perfect holiday gift. So there's a link in the description of this program. Click on the link, get your tickets, get up there to the Palmer. Just saying. Perfect.
Yeah, we had a blast last time, didn't we?
Oh, it was so fun. So fun. It was. I tell you, perfect way to celebrate. I'm telling you. It's so pretty up there, especially in the wintertime. My God.
I love it. It's just one of my favorite places to be. I love the ambiance of the hotel. I love the way the staff takes care of us. I mean, my kids love to go there, which is why we kind of planned this one at this time. So Ella could go when she's home from college, but they feel like it's like they're home away from home.
Yeah.
And I always feel like when we have events like this, we all start to kind of feel like just a big group of friends and family that are just coming back together again and hanging out and having a good time. So yeah, I'd love to have you guys join us.
I always tell people in the Midwest, it's kind of like the Stanley Hotel of the Midwest. It's the best way of putting it. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, it's the best way of putting it. We got a big second half of the program here, Jess, with Dumb Crime, Stupid Criminals. Let's jump into it, shall we? We have a distinguished royal family section to begin with.
Ooh.
Seems they've been up to some no good.
Oh, really? Oh, I can't wait to hear.
Yeah.
Spill the tea, Tim.
Over at Buckingham Palace. Turns out that Prince Andrew says he ceased all contact with an alleged Chinese spy.
Oh.
Turns out that partying isn't the only thing that Prince Andrew does well, I guess. Is that a thing? Prince Andrew says he's ceased all contact with a businessman accused of being a Chinese spy after receiving advice from the government. In a statement, his office said Prince Andrew had met the man through official channels, and there was nothing of a sensitive nature ever discussed. The alleged spy, known as H6, that's a hell of a handle.
Wow, what a name.
Yeah. Was described in court as having formed an unusual degree of trust with the Duke and has since been banned from the UK following a judgment by the UK's semi-secret National Security Court. Home Secretary, we'll get that right, Yvette Cooper said the government would always stand ready to take action on any kind of challenge or threat to UK national security. In 2023, H6 brought an appeal against his initial ban, but the decision has been upheld by the court. Judges were told the businessman was attempting to leverage Prince Andrew's influence. The Duke's office said he was unable to comment further on matters relating to national security. His statement did not specify when he ceased contact with the man who was described as a close confidant of Prince Andrew, nor the duration of their communications. It has also been reported by the Times that H6 was invited to and attended events at Buckingham Palace, St. James Palace, and Windsor Castle at the Duke's request. Oh, he was in deep.
Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah. Yikes. Buckingham Palace declined to comment, saying they do not act for Prince Andrew, who is not a working royal. If you remember right, I believe the Queen, before she passed, took away his title.
Yes, because he'd been naughty.
Yes, naughty boy. He was involved in that whole Epstein deal, right? China's embassy in the UK has denied the espionage claim, saying some individuals in the UK are always eager to fabricate baseless spy stories targeting China. The purpose is to smear China and disrupt normal exchanges between Chinese and British personnel, a spokesperson for the embassy said. The former Home Secretary, Suella Braverman, banned H6 from the UK in March of 2023. He then brought his case to the Special Immigration Appeals Commission, a court set up to consider appeals against decisions to ban or remove someone from the country or national security or related grounds. In the published ruling, the judges upheld Braverman's decision. Speaking to broadcasters on Saturday, Cooper said, "Our security and intelligence agencies are continually vigilant for any threat to UK national security." So H6 is out of there.
I love his name. I would like to be called BB5 going forward, Tim.
BB5, you got it, BB5.
Yep.
Yep. Is there any particular reason you want to be called BB5 or?
I don't know. I think like bad bitch, and then you have 5 fingers on your hands. You can really slap them.
So you can do this. You can't see me. And then it's bam across the face. It's BB5.
BB5.
BB5. You got it. You're now BB5. There you go. Well, BB5, our next story takes place at Buckingham Palace as well, as a maid was arrested after a drunken brawl at a work Christmas party. That's right. Your work Christmas party isn't the only one that gets out of hand. It's that time of year, Jess.
They're doing shots off each other's backs or what?
Yeah.
Putting out the shot ski.
That's right. A butt beer isn't the only thing that happens at your Christmas party. It also happens at Buckingham Palace as well. Don't ask me what a butt beer is and how I know that. I'm just saying. A Buckingham Palace maid was arrested after a Christmas party at a London bar. The unidentified 24-year-old woman was accused of criminal damage and being drunk and disorderly. According to police, the suspect smashed glasses and assaulted a bartender. Now that's a Christmas party.
Heck yeah, let's go.
Yeah, let's effing go. Right? Palace officials say they are investigating the matter. I bet they are. The woman was released one day after being taken into custody and given a penalty note. Is that like a soccer violation?
I don't know. It's like what your teacher sends home to your mom and dad.
I think so, yeah. You've been a very bad girl. Here's your penalty note. Buckingham Palace says the party was an informal gathering and not an official palace Christmas event. If it was an official event, you would have had to have hit harder, I think is the way it goes. Not quite sure. I think that's pretty much how that goes. By the way, we'll take a time out in the funny, and we'll just say that as we're taping here on Monday, there was a school shooting today in Madison.
Oh.
So yeah, we do want to just send out our thoughts and prayers for the kids that were affected at that school. I know there were 4 dead at last count.
Oh, Tim, I haven't seen the news all day, so this is the first I'm hearing of it.
4 dead, and there were a couple injured in that school shooting. There's also a Lord of the Rings actor that's dead, David Weatherly. At age 85, he, trying to think of, I'm reading the story as we're going along here. He was also in Xena Warrior Princess. David was an actor across theater, radio, film, and television. Weatherly served in the Canadian military in the late 50s and began his career as an actor, moving to New Zealand in 1961. But yeah, the Lord of the Actors ring is gone. So, the shooting in Madison happened at a Christian school, a private Christian school in Madison. A student and teacher were killed. 6 students were injured. 2 of them are in critical condition with life-threatening injuries. 4 suffered injuries that weren't life-threatening. Madison Police Chief Sean Barnes said that in a mid-afternoon news conference this afternoon. It's Monday as we're taping this. Shock and grief reverberated across Wisconsin as the news of the shooting at Abundant Life Christian School spread. So that was the latest update as of Monday evening. So there you go.
So sad.
Yeah. But yeah, as I was taping with Marcia Clark, we were talking about that as well, that there hadn't been any school shootings as of recently, which was unusual.
Well, there was one at another Christian school just a few weeks ago.
Yeah, but there had been a bit of a break though from it, which, I mean, thank God there'd been a break from it, right? I mean, we haven't seen one in a little while. You know, for a while we had it seemed like one a week for a while.
I know, it's crazy. And I'm just looking at the news right now, like on my computer screen, and it says the The shooter was a 17-year-old female student, which is like
Unusual.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's unusual.
Yeah.
Yeah. Normally the shooters are male. But yeah, that's unusual as well. So, but again, it's an unusual situation. So, and we note that being here in the Midwest, and just a note for us here. So, we'll move on with Dumb Crime, Stupid Criminals. A woman is charged after allegedly getting a DUI, but it's a different kind of DUI, Jess. It's driving under the ice.
Oh, ooh, how do you do that?
Well, this time of year, it's not hard to do. You just head out to the lake and boom, go right under. She's charged with allegedly crashing under the ice in Lake Winnisquam in New Hampshire. We go to Tilton, New Hampshire, where a Franklin woman is facing multiple charges, including driving under the influence after police said she drove her car into Lake Winnisquam. The crash happened in February under a hotel near a hotel, not under it, but near a hotel in Tilton. Fire officials said Jennifer Huber escaped through the car window then crawled across the ice. According to court documents, Huber was drinking with a blood alcohol concentration above the legal limit. The case is scheduled for trial in February of next year. And that's all there is to the story. It's really not a well-written story. Although there is a picture of this car in the ice. And it is...
That's not good.
No, it is firmly entrenched. We're getting to that time of year, though, folks, where you might want to think about bringing your vehicle onto the ice for ice fishing, although it's not been cold enough here, obviously, in the Twin Cities area. But we're going to get to January and February, and people are going to start to test those limits. Don't do it.
Yeah, not yet. It's not ready for you.
No, it's not ready yet. So you got to have I'm trying to remember how many inches it is you have to have in order to support a vehicle. What is it, 8 inches of ice?
I was going to say 7, and I don't know why I think that number, so I think it must be somewhere around there.
Yeah. I mean, you got to have a good amount of ice in order to support a vehicle. I know that much. Speaking of vehicles, Jess, there's a fake Uber driver that's been charged with stealing $223,000 in crypto from its passengers. The alleged...
Dang.
Yeah, I know, right? Who's got that much crypto on them? Right? I don't know.
Not me.
The alleged scammer picked up passengers in front of a hotel in Scottsdale, Arizona. A man from Scottsdale has been charged with stealing hundreds of thousands of dollars in crypto from victims who thought he was an Uber driver. Prosecutors have called it an extremely sophisticated electronic fraud, and it's a strange approach to scamming that makes it sound unique in several ways. Boy, this is an interesting name. Let me try and hit this here. 40-year-old Nuro Hussein. Nailed it. Yeah. Allegedly picked up 2 unsuspecting people who were looking for Uber rides that they'd ordered in Scottsdale, one in March and the other in October, according to Fox 10, by shouting their names on the street outside a hotel. It's one way of doing it.
Okay.
Normally, I order it on an app. I don't know about you, but hey, if you just go, hey, Uber, maybe it happens.
You just stand outside and start screaming and someone shows up.
Yeah, I think that's probably one way of doing it. It's not clear how Hussein may have known these people were looking for rides, and court documents gave no indication how he accomplished this or knew the victims would have crypto accounts, according to Fox 10, though a hotel does make sense as a target-rich environment for those who are looking to get picked up. Once the victims were in the car, Hussein allegedly obtained the phones of the victims through some kind of pretense, including problems with his own phone and the need to look something up, as well as the need to connect with the Uber app, according to NBC News. Now, that would make sense. So he says he's an Uber driver and, I need to connect with Uber in order to document the ride. I get that. So that's one way to get into the crypto account. Hussein would then allegedly open up the victim's Coinbase account. Okay, I get that. While manipulating the unsuspecting victim's phone, the suspect transferred cryptocurrency from their digital wallet to his digital wallet, police reportedly explained in a statement. And when one of the victims asked for their phone back, Hussein allegedly got mean and threatening. That's probably not the
bad sign.
Yeah, probably not the ride you were looking for then. He made threats to one of the victims that they needed to chill or something bad would happen. And the victim believed that he had a gun, although he did not see a weapon at that time. The court documents allege, according to Fox 10, Hussein was placed on $200,000 bond. That's kind of high.
That's substantial.
That's substantial. And is banned from using the internet, of course, because that's how he makes his living, right?
Yeah.
The judge also ordered electronic monitoring of his location and told him he needs to stay in Maricopa County. There does appear to be a discrepancy between what the police are saying publicly and what's contained in the court documents. According to Fox 10, the Scottsdale Police Department apparently alleged Hussein stole more than $300,000, but the court document lists the theft at about $223,000. Either way, it's a lot of money.
That's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. It's unclear if there's been a miscalculation in some way, perhaps attributable to the fluctuations of crypto. As we know, the market can do this.
That could be. Yeah.
But we don't know for sure. The Scottsdale Police Department didn't respond to questions emailed last Friday. Gizmodo, which was the writer of this article, will update the post when they hear back. So there you go. So depending on the value of crypto on any given day, it could be $200,000, it could be $300,000, it could be $5. So
he's probably hoping crypto goes down, so his crime is worth less.
Yeah, let's make it a misdemeanor. Go down, go down, go down. Although crypto is cooking right now.
Yeah. Question though, are you giving your phone to an Uber driver? I don't care what he says. I'm not giving my phone to an Uber driver.
Nope, I don't hand it over whatsoever. No one's.
I mean, mostly because I'm disgusted by germs, and I'd be like, he probably didn't wash his hands after he went to the bathroom.
Well, that's one. Yeah, there's that. Yeah, I didn't think of that, but I just, for the security reason, I don't ever hand anybody my phone.
No. Mm-mm.
No, because the first thing I'm thinking is, one, okay, is he going to try and access my bank accounts? And two, is he going to try to take a picture of his junk? I don't know. That's my thought. So, yeah, I'm not handing him my phone. No.
Yeah, you don't need any junk pictures on your phone.
Yeah, especially of my Uber driver. I mean,
Yeah.
Then when he tries to put in his phone number and love and kisses, I mean, that's too much, I know.
Speaking of that, I'm going to go off on a tiny little tangent. Do you ever get text messages from people who pretend like it's a wrong number and then they send you a sexy picture of their boobs or something? This keeps happening to me.
I get those quite often. They're scams, but I get the.
I don't understand it. I'm just minding my own business, and then I get a text message. Last night it was some lady who's like, "I'm all checked in and ready, and all packed and ready to go. I'll see you tomorrow." And I'm thinking, oh, someone's traveling for, the holiday or something. So I'm I think you might have the wrong number. And they're like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." And cool, no problem. And then the next thing I know, they're like, "How about a picture of my boobs?" And I'm like, "Oh."
We could still be friends, couldn't we? I think we might have a mutual friend who likes to play games with them when they do that. Mm-hmm. So he'll say stuff like, "Oh, I don't think you want me. I'm a eunuch," stuff like that, which is great. I mean, he makes up alternate stories and stuff like that. So we've decided to one up each other and do different excuses with these things, and then we'll text each other the different stories that we play with these people, which they're bots, or they're different, they're trying to find a way to try and scam you. So we just make up the most outrageous stories we can with them. So
you think they're bots, or just somebody sitting at home?
It's a guy in his underwear trying to scam you.
Yeah. I think so too. Yeah.
So
Probably doesn't even have boobs.
No, probably doesn't. No,
Well, I mean, maybe man boobs.
yeah, man boobs. Yeah, and a raging hard on. But,
Yeah.
so yeah, you just, you do what you can to, try and get that wiener flaccid, So.
Yeah, I just keep getting so many of them. I'm like, kids don't get these. These are so weird.
Everybody gets them.
Yeah, well, I don't like it.
No, I know. It's criminal. But you know what it
The world is full of pervs.
You know what it is, though? And this is information technology and the sale of information in this day and age, right? So every company out there has had their database hacked.
Oh, yeah.
So it doesn't matter where you've bought stuff, they've had their database hacked, right? And so your number has been bought and sold on the dark web, no matter where, anywhere, right? It doesn't matter where. And even though they say, well, we'll give you 3 years protection wherever, it doesn't matter. Your number's been bought and sold on the dark web probably 5 times
and your
over.
passwords are compromised.
Yep.
And we have protection, like we pay for it. Like we've had it free from so many different places. I don't even accept it free anymore. I just have paid for one that I just keep all the time, but I'm constantly getting emails like, I love the suspicious activity on my account when my Target bill is under $300. They think that's suspicious. Like they don't think it's only like $60. I'm like,
yep.
No,
I just decided
my
to pay
third
it.
time at Target this week.
Yep. But so if you're getting those texts, all it means is, well, guess what? Somebody found out your phone number from one of those hacks.
So then, if I was like, cool, send me more pictures, would they then want me to pay for them? Is that like their whole intended outcome, or what are they trying to accomplish?
They're actually fishing to try and get some information from you, because eventually what they'll do is they'll say, well, baby, I want you to send me an Amazon card, or I want you to send me this, or I want you to send me, they're like, oh, we should get to know each other. And, I want you to send me this. So what I'll say is, really? Well, I want you to send me this. So,
Yeah.
No, I want you to send me this first. You can get just as outrageous as they can on the other end. So, yeah, it's fun.
I'm going to reply next time with a picture of my feet.
Oh, you should. Just, you know what? Just say you think you got great boobs, and then take a picture of a porn star with even bigger boobs and send that. Because what I'll do is I've got one stock picture of a porn star's dick, and I send that.
Was that just like saved on your phone?
Yeah, just saved on my phone. I think it's of Long Dong Silver, if I remember right. And I send that, and I say, yeah, well, you want to see my cock? And then I send that. Yeah. So
I have 0 dick pics on my phone.
That's the only one I have. So
I have no arsenal to respond with. I could take a picture of my dog.
I think it's even got a copyright on the bottom. I mean, I don't even make an effort. So, yeah.
Oh, all right. Well, I got us off on a real tangent. I don't know how we got here, but
it's from the whole, scam thing. But it's But you got to have fun with it, right? Because that's the thing is in this day and age, it's just, your information gets passed around like a virus.
I know, it's so weird. Yeah. I don't like it.
No, it's an invasion, and it feels sleazy. It feels cheap, right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm just like watching Hallmark movies with my family, and all of a sudden there's boobs on my phone.
Yeah. And it's like, wait a minute. What did I do to deserve that? Right. I mean, it's just like,
I'm just trying not to be an asshole because I think you have the wrong number. But,
right.
Oh, well.
Right. And and you're just like, just stop. I didn't ask for this. I'm just trying to enjoy my night. And you're like, well, maybe we could be friends. You're like, no, I know you're a scam. Right. So, yeah. So then that's why you have to be, and it's not in your nature, right, to be like this asshole back, but you might as well be. Right? You might as well have some fun.
I usually, when I know it's a scammer, I usually reply with something about karma. Like, Good luck with your karma or whatever. May you get the karma you deserve.
Yeah, but they don't care. So
They don't care.
So you might as well make up a funny story, right?
Yeah. I started on Facebook. You know how you get like the messages that say like you violated something, your account's going to be shut down.
Mm-hmm.
I've started using a little GIF of just a butt shaking.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
That's my response to everyone.
Oh, that's cool. That's fun.
Just shaking my butt at them.
Yeah. Oh, this mutual friend of ours. Oh my God, it's funny. So I don't even know if I have time for this story. It's a short story, but so he got an unusual text. Was it a text or a message from someone who said, "Hey pal, you need to stop leaving your dog crap in my yard." Or something like that. It was an unusual.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a text. I think it was a text from somebody, and it was a wrong number.
Yeah.
So it was something along that line. So it was, you need to stop leaving your dog crap in my yard. So he texted back and said, "Listen, I'll leave all the dog crap in your yard I wanna." And he said that his name was Chuck and that he was the Royal Navy boxing champ of 1983. Right? Now, first of all, if you're the Royal Navy boxing champ of Canada of 1983, that would make you like 70-some years old.
Yeah, you're old.
Yeah, I doubt you're going to do any damage, right? But but then he posted on Facebook like the text thread of what he actually said with this neighbor. So this neighbor's like, whoa. I don't think it needs to come to fisticuffs, because he's like, "Listen, I'll throw 5 bags of shit over into your yard if I want to." Pardon my language, by the way, if you're listening to this at work. But he just goes off on this guy, right? And it's hysterical. He's talking about all curb stomp this and this and this. And he's going off on the guy, right? Well, this guy accidentally, he first of all, he's going off on this neighbor. He thinks he's texting about, you let your dog shit in my yard and I'm mad. Well, now you're really getting it, because he's talking about, not only will I let my dog come over and shit in your yard, I'll come over and take a shit in your yard too. Right? And he's just going off. But it's the fact that, okay, first of all, okay, grow up. Go over and have a conversation if you're really that mad. Second, it's kind of cowardly to text. Third, make sure you have the right number.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, you're going to get somebody on the other end who, one, doesn't appreciate it, and two, if you get a guy who's got a sense of humor, boy, is this really going to get blown out of proportion. And our buddy blew it out of proportion hysterically, right?
Oh my gosh.
And then put it online. So it's comedy material for hundreds of people. I'm just saying. It made mine.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff. So Chuck, the Royal Navy boxer, became a character of infamy. Yeah. Just saying. He's my new hero.
Yeah, I like him.
Yeah. He sounded pretty cool to me. And then so he made up this meme of this old guy with 2 big garbage bags and a little dog following behind him. Which was just hysterical. Okay, we'll get back to the news. Our next dumb crime, stupid criminal is a jelly seller. By the way, this came from one of our listeners. If you have a dumb crime, stupid criminal story for us, tim@darknessradio.com. Send the story along. This came from one of our listeners. A jelly seller is accused of hauling 35 pounds of drugs from Las Vegas to Shoshone. Yeah, industrious.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, it's quite a bit. Mary Renee Wymouth, a 63-year-old jam and jelly vendor from Lander, Wyoming, is accused of smuggling 35 pounds of drugs into the state. She allegedly hauled meth and pot from Las Vegas to Shoshone. By the way, here's a picture of Mary herself.
No.
Yeah.
Little jam maker.
She looks like she could barely lift that much. Just saying. This sounds like the plot from one of the Law and Order shows from last year.
It does.
There was a honey maker, I think, on the one with Christopher Maloney.
Yeah, I think I remember that one.
Yeah, and that was the plot from that show. A 63-year-old jelly and jam maker from Lander is accused of hauling 6 pounds of methamphetamine and 29 pounds of dumpster scrounged marijuana.
What?
Yeah, that had to taste good. From the area of Las Vegas, Nevada to Shoshone, Wyoming, Mary Renee Wymuth pled not guilty on Thursday to 5 felony drug charges. These include conspiracy to deliver meth, punishable by up to 20 years in prison and $25,000 in fines, possession with intent to deliver meth, up to 20 years and $25,000, felony meth possession, up to 7 years and $15,000, possession with intent to deliver marijuana, up to 10 years and $10,000, and felony level marijuana possession, up to 5 years and $10,000. First, the jelly, it says. Division of Criminal Investigation Special Agent Ryan Wangberg, that's right, you heard his name right. His last name is Wangberg, met Weymouth, Wangberg, met Weymouth at a farmer's market in Fremont County this autumn. He also believed from an earlier investigation that she was selling methamphetamine. He testified that Weymouth's November 19th preliminary hearing in Lander Circuit Court Judge Jefferson Combs' courtroom. She gave him her business card at the farmer's market. He added he started texting her on October 29th, trying to obtain a controlled substance, specifically methamphetamine. Wangberg testified. On Halloween, she called him and told him he'd received another phone call within the next hour. If she doesn't call you within the next hour, let me know and I'll take care of it, Weymouth said, according to Wangberg's testimony. About 15 minutes later, another woman who called herself Crystal called. Wangberg let another agent speak with her. According to the court, the undercover agent and Crystal talked about costs and amounts. She said a zip or an ounce of meth would cost $700, according to Wangberg's testimony. Wangberg launched into another long text conversation, this time with the woman who called herself Crystal. Meanwhile, he wrote a search warrant to obtain cell phone ping location data on Weymouth's phone. The phone was in Las Vegas on November 1st, according to Wangberg. Through the investigation, I received information that Ms. Weymouth had a source and supply for controlled substance in the Las Vegas, Nevada area, he added. On November 11th, or 10 days later, the phone's pings showed it was returning to Wyoming and also texting with the phone number associated with Crystal. I had a pretty good idea it wasn't Crystal, said Wangberg. The female had sent a picture of herself to me. Well, they were getting along famously, I guess.
All right.
Right? He researched the phone number and photograph and identified the woman as Kathy Gordon, who was all of 54 years old. Evidently, the older ladies like Mr. Wangberg, if you know what I mean.
Was that the same lady in the picture? She was 54?
No, this is a different one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, no way she's 54.
No, this one I think is in her 60s. Gordon is also facing drug charges on count of conspiracy to deliver meth, another of felony meth possession, a third of possession with intent to deliver marijuana, and a fourth of felony marijuana possession. She pled not guilty on Thursday as well. There's another headline here of that reek. I think they're talking about the weed. DCI agents followed the pings to Shoshone to Gordon's house. One agent was already in the area. Wangberg arrived sometime later to find a white Nissan Frontier truck attached to an 8-foot trailer. In the bed of the truck sat multiple baskets of pomegranates, Wang testified. Oh, so he was looking for fruits and vegetables after all.
Yummy. I like pomegranates.
Yeah, they're quite healthy. He seemed unsurprised by this, I guess, adding that Gordon, alias Crystal, had texted Wangberg earlier that they were picking pomegranates. He also saw a bunch of cookie tins and a white styrofoam cooler in the bed of the truck. All these contained raw marijuana. Well, not all is pomegranates, I guess. Standing outside in the street where the truck and trailer were parked, you could smell the raw marijuana, he said. Weymouth consented to the search of her truck and trailer, the agent said, so she also admitted to having nearly 6 pounds of methamphetamine. Wangberg said agents also seized about 29 pounds of raw marijuana, albeit cut with mulch and other substances, I guess to keep the smell down. An interesting thing about the marijuana, said Wangberg, is that it may have been the product of some rigorous dumpster diving. Weymouth told
How do you even know where to find it? Like, is there just marijuana in every dumpster?
No.
You just have to know you're out behind some druggie's house or something.
I guess. Weymouth had told him the prior night that she and someone else had gotten the marijuana out of dumpsters.
So it's just like people's mostly smoked blunts that have been thrown away and they're just like digging out the little remnants of it.
I don't know.
I'm just trying to wrap my brain around this. I'm going to stop trying. It's too weird.
I think there's probably an explanation here. He said, I heard in a training that in different states where marijuana is illegal, dispensaries will dispose of marijuana and sometimes mix it in with a mulch or some chemical to deter people from going in dumpsters and retrieving it, said Wangberg. Some of this marijuana appeared to be mixed with more mulch and in trash bags. So they actually took it from a dispensary.
All right. That makes more sense and is less disgusting.
It looked like Weymouth's claim of dumpster diving for marijuana was accurate, Wangberg observed in court. Weymouth's public defense attorney, Zachary Malum, at first cast doubt upon this find, asking whether agents tested the marijuana to see whether it was actually hemp, which he indicated could be used as mulch. Wangberg later clarified that agents field tested some of the meth and the marijuana, and they tested positive for those substances, respectively. So there you go. Mulchy weed and methamphetamine. Sounds like a party to me.
Definitely.
Yeah. Who doesn't like the mulchy weed?
I don't need to be invited to that party, though.
No. I'd rather not smoke the mulch. Just saying.
Nope.
You. Have you got a good dentist, Jess?
Yes, I do have a good dentist. I really like him.
Okay.
Smart guy.
No reason to switch up then?
I mean, no.
Okay, good. Be aware of any phony dentists that may be out there, especially ones that practice out of their home.
Oh, well, that sounds dangerous.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? I don't know who would go to a dentist that practices out of their own home. I mean, there's certain...
Yeah, it's not 1894.
No. I mean, there's certain jobs you do from home. A dentist probably isn't one of them. So I don't know who would fall for that scheme, but evidently there's some people in New York who have.
Wow.
Just saying. A phony dentist, all of 70 years old, was busted for practicing out of her New York kitchen and pulling 5 rotting teeth from a victim who paid nearly $2,000 for the privilege.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know how you fall for that.
You know, if you're ripping my teeth out, kind of over by your dirty dishes and your Dawn dish soap, like, something's wrong with this picture.
Yeah, no.
Mm-mm.
A 70-year-old Long Island woman, and this happened on Long Island. It wasn't like this happened in the inner city. Like, this wasn't like I don't have money for a dentist, so I'm going to go to, like, someone in Harlem and get this ripped out.
Yeah.
This happened in Long Island.
It's wild.
Yeah. A 70-year-old Long Island woman allegedly turned her kitchen into an illicit dentist office, disturbingly extracting 5 teeth from a trusting patient who paid her nearly $2,000. It's a lot of money.
Yeah, hard cash probably too. No insurance is going to cover that.
You can go to an office and get a tooth extracted for $2,000.
Yeah, and they'll have like a nice little TV that's like right above your face. You can just lay back and watch HGTV or something.
And they'll probably use drugs. I'm just saying.
Yeah. It's going to be sanitary.
Yeah. Sterile. Go figure. 70-year-old Gladys Serrano was hit with criminal charges this week for running the dental practice out of her 1-bedroom apartment on Greenwich Street in Hempstead. That according to the Nassau County District Attorney's Office. Practicing dentistry without proper authorization poses an incredibly serious risk to public health and safety, Nassau County District Attorney Ann T. Donnelly said in a statement. This defendant's alleged home operation endangered the well-being of at least one person in need of dental care. At least one person. That means more than one person fell for this, Jess.
That's crazy.
I
don't want to victim shame, but come on, guys.
So someone showed up to a one-bedroom apartment and went, yeah, yank him out.
Yeah. This looks legit, right?
Yeah. Do I need to swish with whiskey before or after you do this? I'm just curious. Can we go all the way back to 1755 and do this? Do I need a time machine for this? Prosecutors said a woman contacted Serrano, who doesn't appear to be licensed to practice dentistry, so the license wasn't important either.
Surprise, surprise.
Yeah. Through a referral to schedule a single tooth extraction on July 26th. The victim showed up at Serrano's makeshift office with a hanging curtain dividing the kitchen, where the alleged phony dentist told her she actually needed 5 teeth pulled because they were rotting.
Oh, Lord.
5 teeth.
Owie, Tim.
By the way, here's a picture of our fake dentist.
Oh, gosh.
Would you go to our 70-year-old Gladys Serrano, Dr. Serrano here, and say, by the way, Doc, I got 5 rotting chompers. You want to grab that pliers over there and a little bit of rubbing alcohol and let's go to it?
Bless her heart. No, I would not go to her to rip my teeth out.
No. She looks like somebody's drugged up grandmother. Serrano
does bacon weed brownies.
Yeah, making weed brownies. Yeah, she looks like she's probably doing that.
Weed she got out of a dumpster, Tim.
Yes, weed she got out of a dumpster made with mulch. Yeah. Serrano extracted the teeth, gave the victim paper towel pieces to absorb a large amount of blood.
Oh, my goodness.
And instructed her to rinse with salt water, which is about the same amount a regular dentist does, but they don't give you just paper towels. They give you actual cotton to absorb that with.
Yeah.
But still, I'm sick just reading this. Serrano also told the woman she'd need a dental bridge. So she returned to the office several times between August 16th and December 4th, hoping to get one, the DA's office said. But the victim never received a bridge that fit her mouth, despite Serrano making additional molds of her mouth and filing down the impressions.
He's making molds. Wow. And she's like got she's really faking it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Fake it till you make it.
I guess, right? During the 5-month period of visits, the patient paid Serrano a total of $1,950, according to the DA's office. Investigators searched Serrano's apartment, finding a curtain hanging in the kitchen and a patient chair positioned near a sink. What? Drawers were stuffed with apparently used dental instruments, as well as impression molds, extraction tools, tartar scrapers, and a large container was chock full of empty vials of medication and used dental needles. All in an apartment that wasn't sterile.
Oh, yeah. So many diseases, potentially.
Mm-hmm. Investigators also recovered boxes labeled as single-use dental needles, capsules of the antibiotic amoxicillin, the anti-inflammatory Relaflex, and the local anesthetic lidocaine. That's all she was using.
So if she had dental needles, she was injecting them with those. Oh.
Mm-hmm. She was just taking lidocaine and injecting a little bit into the gum and boom. That's it.
Wow.
You can get lidocaine at the drugstore.
It's worse than like when you watch those tattoo nightmare shows and they got a tattoo in a bathroom on a boardwalk somewhere. So
Yep.
it's like the same kind of thing. I keep thinking like
It's
so unsanitary.
It's the dental. You're right, Jess. It's the dental equivalent of a prison tattoo. It's prison dentistry.
Ah.
A search of New York state records did not turn up anyone with the name of Actually, it's worse than prison dentistry. They actually know how to do prison dentistry. They have an actual dentist in prison.
Right. Right. And like it's worse too because you have a choice.
Yeah.
In the prison, you just got to do the prison dentistry, or get a prison tattoo, if you will, if that's what we're going to liken it to. But you don't have to do that out of prison. You can go somewhere.
A search of New York state records did not turn up anyone with the name of Gladys Serrano, who is licensed to practice dentistry, according to prosecutors. Not good. Serrano pleaded not guilty during her arraignment Tuesday on one count of unauthorized practice of a profession, which is a Class E felony. Judge Charles G. McQuare released her to pretrial services with electronic monitoring, ordered her to surrender her passport, and restricted her from traveling outside the state. She was arraigned Tuesday in connection to the illicit dental practice. She is accused of running out of the kitchen of running out of the kitchen of her one-bedroom apartment on Greenwich Street in Hempstead, according to the Nassau County District Attorney's Office. While only one victim so far has been identified, Nassau authorities believe many more have visited Serrano for treatment. They're saying anyone else who's been victimized by Serrano is asked to call the Nassau District Attorney's Office of Immigrant Affairs at 516-571-7756. If convicted, Serrano could spend up to 4 years behind bars.
I mean, I suppose it's people that don't have insurance and they think this is the best way to take care of themselves. It's so sad.
Yeah. Yeah. A brief update on the there was a retiree, the drone thing is all the rage right now. Drones over New Jersey, drones all over the U.S. right now. We have more on it tomorrow on Supernatural News. There's a couple of different drone stories right now. There was a retiree down in Florida, bless his heart, 72 years old, who shot down a Walmart drone that was just trying to deliver a package. But he just saw this flying thing in the sky and decided he was going to shoot it down, which, by the way,
the government's not going to take care of it. He's going to take care of it himself.
That's right. If it was going to invade his airspace, by God, he was taking it down, which, by the way, was what some of the people did to the drones in New Jersey.
Oh, did they really?
Yeah, they said if the government is going to take care of it, we are. And they actually started shooting back at the drones in New Jersey.
Oh. Which
was a huge mess. Anyway, so this retiree who shot down the Walmart drone got a plea deal this past week. The 72-year-old man hit a hovering target with a single 9mm shot. Turns out this poor 72-year-old man, God, has to pay $5,000 in restitution to Drone Up Delivery, which is the Virginia firm and Walmart partner that owned the drone, which was struck by the single bullet fired from, I'm sorry, by Mr. Wynn, Dennis Wynn, who entered a pretrial intervention program offered by prosecutors that upon successful completion will result in the dropping of criminal charges. It's a PTI program that he has to enter, which, similar to probation, is offered to defendants with no significant criminal history.
I mean, he just thought he was being space invaded in his defense. He didn't know.
Actually, he kind of did know.
Did he?
Yeah. He knew he was expecting a package. He knew a package was coming.
Well, didn't we cover this? Is this the same story? Yeah. I feel like we talked about this guy a little while back.
He told investigators that he was working on his pool equipment when he heard the drone whirring in front of his home. After trying to shoo off the drone, Wynn said he retrieved his firearm from a gun safe and fired. Now, they say I hit it, so I must be a good shot, he said, according to a police body cam recording that captured Wynn's confession. Yes, I shot at it, and a query, how much trouble am I in? So he knew he hit it.
Yeah.
He knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Claiming that he was unaware that the drone was part of the Walmart fleet, Wynn explained that he had past experiences with drones flying over his house and believed they were surveilling him. He did not further explain why he thought that his home on a quiet cul-de-sac purchased for about $500,000 in 2007 was the target of prior aerial monitoring. When the drone-up workers heard gunfire and saw Wynn holding a handgun toward the sky, they ran back to their vans. I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh. While the drone returned to a Walmart supercenter about 4 miles away, or about 2 by air. So, while Wynn, cops say, acknowledged that the reckless nature of his actions were true, he made an odd comment while officers gently handcuffed him in front. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. Wynn laughed to no reaction from the sheriff's deputies.
Oh, my goodness.
He was milking it for all it was worth.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. So, yeah, talk about a stupid criminal. It's your typical one.
Yeah, he ranks right up there. Pretty dumb.
Yeah. So, yeah. So he pleaded out this week, essentially to probation. How do you like that?
Yeah, that works. I mean, let's not waste any more money on him, prosecuting him. He's dumb.
Yeah.
See if he does it again. We'll see if we get to talk about him another day.
I'm sure he's going to be shooting at more drones.
What dumb thing is he going to do next?
They never learn the first time. He'll get it. He'll get popped again. I mean, not like pop, but he'll get popped again.
I hope not.
Another update for you, Jess. I don't know if you remember this story or not. A man who jumped a desk to attack a Nevada judge in a courtroom has been sentenced. Do you remember this guy who went over the top of a desk to attack a judge? The man who was captured on video attacking a judge in Las Vegas in a courtroom after vaulting over her bench and desk has been sentenced to decades in prison.
Whoa, you can't do that.
No, it's not tolerated. Diabra Redden was ordered on Tuesday to serve between 26 and 65 years in a Nevada prison for the attack on Clark County District Judge Mary Kay Holtis. According to KLAS TV in Las Vegas, the 31-year-old Redden pleaded guilty but mentally ill in September to attempted murder and other charges, ending his trial shortly after Holtis had testified that she feared for her life when Redden vaulted over her 4-foot-high bench and landed on her. I mean, think of the escape velocity you got to hit in order to get over 4 feet.
Yeah, he's like a puma.
Yeah. The attack happened January 3rd of this year as Holtis was about to deliver Redden's sentence in a separate felony battery case. The violent scene was captured by courtroom video that showed the 62-year-old judge falling back from her seat against a wall as Redden flung himself over her bench and grabbed her hair, toppling an American flag onto them. Holtis suffered some injuries but was not hospitalized, according to courthouse officials. So there's been a sentencing in that case. So 26 to 62 years. That's yeah. I don't think you want to take a shot.
No, because people kill people and get less time.
Yeah, you don't want to take a shot at a judge. That's for sure. That'll make you think twice. This story sent to us from a listener. Again, if you have a story for us for Dumb Crime, Stupid Criminals, send it to us, tim@darknessradio.com. A California man hit a pregnant woman with a flashlight, bit a man's hand, and tried to kidnap a nursing home resident, according to cops.
He's on a rampage.
Busy afternoon. A California man was arrested after allegedly breaking into a sleeping couple's home where he hit a pregnant woman with a flashlight and bit her husband's hand, and for sneaking into a nursing home in an attempt to kidnap a resident. 48-year-old David Jonathan Margolish, charged with 48 years old, charged with felony burglary, felony assault with a deadly weapon, and felony attempted kidnapping. He's being held in Marin County. I'll get that right. Marin County jail without bail, according to San Rafael Police Department. Margalish entered a home on Ross Street in San Rafael on Saturday at about 1 a.m. when a man who lives in the home called police to report that someone had just entered through the back door and attacked him and his pregnant wife before running away. The woman told police she had woken up to a noise and found Margalish in her living room before screaming and waking up her husband. Margalish then struck her in the head with a flashlight, which resulted in minor injuries. She was able to take the flashlight away from Margalish, and her husband became involved in a physical fight with the suspect to push him out of the house. During the fight, Margalish bit the man's hand. The man was eventually able to force Margalish out of the house and then pushed him down a flight of patio stairs. Margalish fell to the pavement below and ran away. The husband and wife were treated for injuries at a local hospital. Multiple police agencies, including one department's canine unit, searched for Margalish but were initially unsuccessful. Police then received a call at 5:18 a.m. from a skilled nursing facility in the 1600 block of Fifth Avenue about a man claiming to be an employee of a transport service who wanted to take an elderly patient to Santa Rosa. Officers responded to the scene and learned Margalish had walked in and out of the facility several times, claiming to be a patient transport service employee. The facility's employees requested credentials, but he was unable to verify his claims. The employees determined he was lying and prevented him from taking the patient, and Margalish left the facility. But two nurses were still following Margalish and notified an officer in the area who then took the suspect into custody. Margalish was identified as a suspect in the burglary of the couple's home and in the attempted kidnapping of a nursing home patient. While in custody, police said Margalish made several incriminating statements about his actions in both cases. Margalish has an extensive criminal history, which includes his arrest in March for dousing a member of a mosque with pepper spray at the Islamic Center of North Marin during Ramadan. He is awaiting sentencing for that incident after pleading guilty. Guy can't stay out of his own way.
I think he's suffering from some Looney Tune-ness.
This is a picture of the guy right here. He doesn't look like he's having a good day.
He looks crazy. He looks like the craziest person you've shown me in a while, Tim. He right down to the patch of hair on the front of his head.
So you're saying you wouldn't go to a second chance prom with him, Jess?
No.
No?
His eyes are scary.
If he were to say to you, hey, Jess, you want to go to the second chance prom with me?
And then I would say, nope.
Nope. You'd say, no, I'm afraid you'd bite me in the hand and throw me down some stairs.
Hit me in the head with a flashlight, you psycho. But he kidnapped my grandma.
Yeah, he does have that look, doesn't he?
He does.
Yeah.
I feel bad. I hate to make fun of people, but he's absolutely unhinged.
He does have that look, yeah. He doesn't look like he'd be an upstanding young citizen. All right, it's time now for our not safe for work part of the program. If you're listening with the kids, well, it's probably too late anyways. They probably learned some bad habits. If you're listening at work, well, the boss has probably learned some bad habits as well. So if you just turn down your listening device or put in your earbuds, we'll give you 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's time now to get on with the dirty and the funny. Here we go. It turns out we're going to start out with the police force, because why would we start with criminals? Let's start with the police force first. As it turns out, Jess, the New York police have forced strip searches with nearly everyone they've arrested, according to the Department of Justice.
Really?
Yeah, it's a good time over there at the New York Police Department.
Wow.
Yeah.
They're just like instant strip search? That's how it works?
Yeah, everyone's getting naked for the New York police. We go to Mount Vernon, where a suburban New York police department routinely violated residents' civil rights, including making illegal arrests and using unnecessary strip and cavity searches, according to new U.S. Department of Justice reports.
You had to throw the cavity search in there, didn't you?
Well, it's not a...
Why would you do that unnecessarily? Like, how sick are you that you're just like...
Well, it's
I don't really need to look up your bunghole, but I think I'm going to anyway.
It's not a party unless there's 3 fingers involved. Just saying. The report on a pattern and practice of police misconduct at the department in Mount Vernon, just north of New York City, is one of 12 investigations opened by the DOJ into local policing agencies since 2021, including those sparked by the killing of George Floyd in Minneapolis and Breonna Taylor in Kentucky. No single incident prompted the investigation into Mount Vernon's approximately 160 officer force, but the illegal strip search in 2020 of 2 women, one age 65 and the other 75.
Dang, what?
Somebody likes them mature over there in Mount Vernon.
Wow.
Just saying.
Cheeky.
Yeah, I know, right? We're emblematic of the department's shortcomings, said the report, which was released on Thursday. Arrested on suspicion of buying drugs. What drugs? Blood pressure medication?
I mean, maybe. That one lady looked like a grandma who was like dumpster diving for marijuana and traveling across the country or whatever with all the meth, but I bet nobody wanted to strip search her.
No. Officers searched the women's car and found nothing, and then they hauled them into a police station in handcuffs, according to the report. Supervisors there approved a fully nude strip search by detectives who told them to bend over and cough.
No, that's so traumatizing.
Hey, Grandma, I need you to bend over and cough.
Why?
Maybe they got a certain kink. I don't know.
I mean, is that all it takes? Now I'm thinking of this cavity search situation. You just have to bend over and cough, and like whatever you have up there is just gonna like fall out.
Yeah. Well, when you're that old, Jess, I mean, there's not much sphincter control. Just saying.
I've never tried to like house anything in there. But like the action of bending over and coughing must just like relax and release and like.
Especially when it's a small gun or a big bag of something. Yeah.
Tonka truck.
Tonka truck. No, this isn't kids' playtime, Jess. It's not Hot Wheels car. No, it's not anything like that.
My Little Pony. I mean, I don't know.
Rainbow Bright. No, nothing like that.
Weird. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. After small brush. After an internal investigation found that an officer had lied about the pair buying drugs, those involved were docked a few vacation days, Jess, according to the report.
Come on.
Just a few vacation days. That was it.
If it was my grandma, I would be so mad.
I would be too. The police union representing officers in the department did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Until at least the fall of 2022, it was the Mount Vernon force's practice to strip search every person it arrested, even if you jaywalked. According to the report, officers also strip searched people they did not arrest, detained, and interrogated people without formally arresting them, and arrested people for verbally criticizing police officers.
What? How would you react to that if you got taken in for just jaywalking or something just totally ridiculous and little, and they were like, strip down, Tim?
That's right. Get naked. If you're like, hey, cop, you suck. You eat too many donuts. And like, hey, buddy, get naked, grab your ankles and cough. It's like, oh, what? You can't do that. You want to bet? While you're at it, take this nightstick. What? I mean, yeah. Illegal strip and cavity searches continued till at least 2023, the report found. The investigator said that while the practice was curtailed during its probe, we are not confident that these practices have ended.
They got some sick people working there. What the heck?
They might still be churning in Mount Vernon, if you know what I mean.
I'm not driving through that town.
No, well, unless you want, unless that's your thing.
No, it's not.
Among a catalog of unconstitutional arrests, the DOJ identified a case where officers took the mother of a shooting victim to a police station and interrogated her, even as her dying daughter was rushed to the hospital. The daughter, struck by a stray bullet, died while her mother was in custody. Officers didn't articulate probable cause for her detention.
That's just evil. That's so sad.
Yeah. The department also suffered from financial mismanagement, which exacerbated pervasive human rights violations rooted in illegal policies and lack of training, the report said. It noted that low salaries made it hard to attract and retain quality officers, train staff, and pay its bills, starving its supply budget. The report noted that the city is already taking steps to improve its policing. It offered a series of recommendations, including implementing measures to ensure that unconstitutional strip and body cavity searches do not take place. That's good to know.
They're making improvements, Tim.
Yeah. We'll try not so hard to make people strip down. We'll move on here. It turns out that there's an appeal out there for witnesses to stop doing what they're doing after a beach toilet is vandalized. It's bad enough that it's hard for ladies to find a public toilet to go to, a nice public toilet to go to. But when it ends up looking like this, Jess, with somebody throwing a rock through it.
Oh.
Well, yeah. Oh, by gosh, be nice. That's all we're saying.
Yeah, don't ruin our potties. We need those.
Yeah, that's right. We're going to Poundstock Parish Council in Cornwall. We're going across the pond where a council has appealed for witnesses after a toilet was vandalized. Poundstock Parish Council in Cornwall says the bowl in the women's toilets at Widemouth Beach was broken with a heavy rock, probably on Monday afternoon. The toilets near Bude were recently handed over to the council by Cornwall Council and are in the process of being refurbished. Stephen Blake, chair of the council, said he was extremely disappointed that this happened in a time when people are counting pennies. The perpetrators should be thoroughly ashamed of themselves, as they said. Take a look at how badly this is damaged. It's like someone is angry at turlets.
Wow, the whole base of the toilet is cracked and broken on the floor.
Yeah, it's like someone took a big boulder and just threw it in the toilet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy aggression.
It is. Mr.
What did a toilet ever do to you?
I don't know. It's like someone went, ladies don't poop, and they threw a big boulder in the toilet. I don't know. It was weird. Mr. Blake said vandalism was rare in the parish, which only has about 100 houses, including holiday homes. But he said there had been some graffiti and a broken lock at the toilet earlier in the year, as well as a churchyard wall, which had been badly vandalized with hammers a few weeks ago. He said timing of the latest vandalism, which happened a few days after a trailer full of surfboards was stolen from the same beach, was coincidental, though there was no proof that the two were related. It's almost a mini crime wave, he said. That's horrible in a vacation village, Jess. Mini crime.
Yeah, not cool.
Yeah. Don't break the toilets, kids. We're just saying. All right. We move on. You are a former teacher, correct, Jess?
I am. That's true.
All right. I'm going to have you weigh in on this story here.
Okay.
The headline is, Stop Talking About My Mom. A video shows a Georgia teacher violently throwing a sixth grader across a classroom after a boy allegedly confronts him over an inappropriate comment. Now, I'm about to tell you what the comment is about his mom.
Okay.
It's not a good one. You ready for this?
Yeah.
It seemed casual, which makes the physical confrontation between a football coach and an 11-year-old boy even more troubling. What allegedly prompted the altercation is even more disturbing. Betraylin Elder, who also teaches at Direnay Middle School in Savannah, Georgia, is captured on video grabbing the sixth grader by his shirt, lifting him off the ground and effortlessly tossing him over a row of desks.
Whoa, that's like something out of a movie.
That's like Hulk-like strength, right? The boy's mother, Chanel Russell, received the video last Friday and a call from the school. She alleges Elder had made inappropriate comments about her to her son TJ. So my son then went to the front of the classroom to approach the teacher, letting him know, hey, stop talking about my mom. Russell said in an interview with WTOC in Savannah, the teacher then came closer to my son. My son again said, stop talking about my mom, and also wanted to call me. From that point, he was then grabbed and thrown to the floor like nothing, she said. Elder allegedly told the class he had left his shoes at TJ's mom's house.
Oh, not cool.
You're right. Russell said she had never met the teacher before and was appalled that he would make such disparaging comments to a room full of sixth graders.
That is crazy. They're little kids in sixth grade.
Right. So to be like, yeah,
that
dude.
Guy's a puke.
Yeah, to be like, yeah, dude, I did your mom and left my shoes at her house. Right.
Oh my gosh.
The video clip made public by WTOC starts with both Elder and the boy touching each other. Elder cuffs the front of the student's shirt and pushes him away. After he was thrown onto the desks, Elder allegedly grabbed TJ and shoved him out of the classroom. According to the outlet's report, the school's assistant principal witnessed the confrontation. According to Russell, the Savannah Chatham County Public School System addressed the incident in a statement with WTOC. On December 6th of 2024, an incident involving a teacher and student at D. Renee Middle School was reported to district police or personnel. Following the report, thorough statements were collected, and the teacher was immediately reassigned to an alternate location to ensure that they had no interaction with students. Over the weekend, the teacher submitted their resignation, which was received and accepted by SCCPSS Human Resources. Please be assured that this was an isolated incident, and we take matters like this extremely seriously, the statement continued. TJ suffered a concussion and multiple bruises from the encounter. His mother said he is frightened to return to school. Elder needs to be placed in jail, she said. He hurt my boy. I'm heartbroken because I wouldn't do that to my child. His father wouldn't do that to him. So for him to take the initiative to do that is sickening.
Oh, yeah. I would be so angry if someone touched my kid like that.
Yeah. School officials confirmed that Chatham County Board of Education Police Department has launched an investigation. As of Wednesday afternoon, there is no word on whether criminal charges have been filed against Elder. The now former teacher told Savannah Morning News that he will not be making any statements about the incident until he gets his legal affairs in order. He has since deleted his Facebook page. And he probably should. I would think that he might have quite a few comments on it.
Yeah, people might be hating on him for manhandling a child.
Yeah. I mean, that's completely inappropriate. Okay, last not safe for work story, and then we have a bit of a palate cleanser, and then we're out of here for the day. I don't get this story, to be honest with you, Jess, but it's Texas, okay? So we'll go with it. Because I've never seen this happen in Minnesota, but maybe. The headline here is Killing the Vibe. Proposed law bans drugstore sex toy sales in Texas.
Oh, so you can't have drugs and sex toys in the same store.
Yeah, you ever seen sex toys in Walgreens?
No.
No, I haven't either.
No.
No, maybe there's
You have to go to a special store for those.
I think so. Maybe they have them in CVS. I'm not quite sure. I don't know how I tell Johnny or Jill what those are, when you're going to pick up the prescription. You go to pick up the Tylenol, and there it is, just vibrating on the shelf. Bzzz,
yeah, it's a little magic bullet or whatever they are.
Yeah. I mean, well, to give you an idea, okay, so here's a picture on the drugstore shelf in Texas of what exactly they're just kind of sitting there, right? Along with
I guess
there's the lubes and the
the dildos, Tim.
Yeah, the dildos. They're just sitting there, just kind of on sale. Yep.
That one looks like a microphone.
It does, doesn't it? It does kind of look like a microphone. Kind of looks like the one I'm talking into. Anyway.
Is that microphone really a dildo, Tim?
I think it is. Yeah, Jess. Well, it does have a diaphragm. I'm just saying.
Oh.
See? You learn that kind of stuff in broadcasting school. You learn what a microphone's made out of. It's got a diaphragm. It vibrates. That's how sound travels.
Basically a dildo. It literally is.
Yeah. It's a vibrator, so to speak. That's how sound travels. At nearly any mass market drugstore in Texas, customers can buy the essentials: Tylenol, bandages, mascara, the Hello Cake Little Sucker rechargeable, and waterproof clitoral stimulator. You know, basic shit. However, that could soon be illegal under Texas law if newly elected state representative Hillary Hickland has her way. Pre-filed this week ahead of the 2025 Texas legislative session, a proposed bill would prohibit the sale of obscene devices at retail stores like Target, Walmart, and CVS, impose civil penalties on retailers, and allow Texas counties and cities to bring legal action against them. HB 1549 would not apply to age-restricted venues like sex shops, strip clubs, or other adult-oriented businesses. In a press release, Hickland, a former stay-at-mom home and school voucher advocate backed by Governor Greg Abbott, said that the bill would provide an important safeguard for Texas families. Our family-oriented retailers should reflect the values of the communities they serve, Hickland said. Parents do not consent to their children being exposed to obscene devices while shopping for toothpaste. Yeah, but what happens if you happen to put one in your mouth and you need to scrub it out? You have both in the same location. It's convenient, Jess. See? I don't know.
I don't know. I don't think so.
Okay. House Bill 1549 provides common sense protections for families by ensuring parents can shop with their children without encountering sexually explicit items that compromise their innocence. I can form an argument there, but I won't here. Hailed by Abbott as the new kind of conservative leader we need in Austin, Hickland knocked out incumbent Representative Hugh Shine in November's election and previously made headlines for her conflict with Belton Independent School District over a banned book display. She also is not the first Texas Republican to be outraged about sex toys at major retailers. Last month, State Republican Executive Committee woman Kristen Bentley took to X to complain about the sale of obscene devices at a CVS store in Carthage, calling for updates to state law. A testy exchange followed her social media objections with newly elected Republican District Attorney Sarah Stogner, responding, "I see you're still obsessed with dildos. Perhaps you should buy one and try it. Might make you a little less uptight."
Oh, my.
Bentley has since come out in favor of Hickland's bill. Oh, a change of heart, I see. Yeah. It's funny how politics works. Although the selection of toys at drugstores has certainly expanded in recent years, Americans have been able to buy vibrators and dildos at their local pharmacy since the early 2010s. And while the drugstore sex toys of yesteryear hid behind branding labeling them personal massagers, toys found in the health and wellness sections of major retailers now openly describe what they are and what they're for. And business is booming, believe it or not. According to Business Insider, the sexual wellness market is pulling in $10 billion annually. Hickland's new bill fits neatly into ongoing Republican culture war against what they're deeming the grooming and sexualization of children both in Texas and across the country. From banning books to restricting drag shows, Republicans have increasingly targeted the LGBTQ plus community and sought to restrict depictions of sex, sexuality, and gender identity in public life, it says here in the article. They claim here with the sale and promotion of sex toys in Texas regulated under the law, few cases have ever been prosecuted, none successfully. In 2004, a Burleson woman faced jail time after selling a vibrator to 2 undercover police officers. The woman, Joanne Webb, worked for Passion Parties, a company that sold sex toys at Tupperware-style parties. After neighbors lodged complaints, 2 undercover officers posing as a couple trying to spice up their love life attended a party at Webb's home and arrested her after she sold them a vibrator.
Oh, come on. Now that's just silly.
That criminal. Webb was later acquitted and the officers were reprimanded. In 2007, a Lubbock lingerie shop was raided for items deemed to be illegal by the Texas Penal Code. Reading that sentence makes me giggle. While the clerk working the store was arrested, the charges were later dropped. A year later, a judge in the Texas Attorney General's office came to an agreement that the statute was facially unconstitutional and unenforceable. I said facially. But the law still remains on the books as of 2024. I think we pretty much got the gist of the story here. They're trying to get sex toys out of pharmacies. As little of a selection as you can get. I can't imagine you can get the gamut at a CVS, right?
But the whole thing of arresting someone for selling it to officers in their home at a party, that's ridiculous. I mean, I get it doesn't need to be. I mean, I don't really care either way, honestly. But if you have little kids, that's awkward, and they don't need to see that.
I think in Minnesota, you can't get them in a pharmacy, as far as I know.
No, I don't think so.
No, I think they have a morality clause in Minnesota, but
I mean, you just go someplace else, or a lingerie store, like you mentioned, a lingerie store. That to me is a fine place to sell dildos if you want. That's whatever.
Whatever.
But Target, Walgreens, they don't need to be there.
Yeah. It is what it is. So that is. Oh, wait. We have a palate cleanser.
Oh,
sorry. Okay, so Christmas is around the corner, Jess, but one man tried to play Santa Claus and failed miserably. Actually, we don't know that he was trying to play Santa Claus. He might have just been hiding from the law.
Ooh, okay. This should be good.
We go to Fall River, Massachusetts, the home of the woman who took a whack with an axe, 40 whacks with an axe.
Oh, yeah, little Lizzie Borden
action. A video shows the moment that Fall River police found a drug suspect hiding in a chimney. Santa, he ain't. Fall River police said a man was arrested on drug charges after getting stuck in a chimney while trying to hide from officers. Police were executing a search warrant at a home on Canal Street Tuesday night when they said two men fled the residence via rooftop, one of whom eluded capture by jumping down and onto a parked vehicle. The other male, later identified as 33-year-old Robert Langlius, invoked the essence of the seasonal icon of Santa Claus and attempted to hide inside the chimney. Fall River police said in a statement, Langlius quickly became stuck in the chimney and required the assistance of the very detectives that he was previously fleeing from. Langlius was rescued and taken into custody. Due to his Santa antics, Langlius was transported to a local hospital out of precaution and was medically cleared. Langlius was arrested and charged with possession of Class A drugs, possession of Class B drugs, and a slew of charges from outstanding warrants. Another individual present, 32-year-old Tanisha Ibe, was arrested and charged with possession of Class A drugs and possession of Class B drugs. And just so you can get the picture completely, Jess, here is our Santa stuck in a chimney.
He is crammed in there.
Which just goes to show... go ahead.
I was just going to say, I was getting claustrophobic just listening to you talk about this story, and now I'm almost hyperventilating.
Just goes to show if you can't wiggle your nose, you probably shouldn't be jumping down the chimney.
If you didn't get there with flying reindeer,
that's right.
Stay out.
Yeah, don't try it. Those are some tight spaces. So there you go.
Right.
That's your palate cleanser for today.
That's a good one.
Yeah. So that's how we end today's Dumb Crime, Stupid Criminals. So that'll do it.
I like that.
A reminder, this is the book right here, Trial by Ambush. Marcia Clark. We want to thank Ms. Clark for being on the program today. It's a great interview by her. So we encourage you to go get it. Link is in the description of this program today. The trip that we have the link in the description of the program as well. New Year's weekend. Ghost Stories Inc. That's right. Go click on that. Go join Jess and Ghost Stories Inc. up there at the Palmer House. It's a great holiday gift. So by all means, surprise somebody this holiday season with a trip to the Palmer House over New Year's weekend. 30% off by using the code DARKNESS30. All right. Tomorrow, Supernatural News on the big program. And Thursday, here's your little tease. We are going to be speaking with a guest about aliens, and he studied under one of the greats.
Ooh.
Yeah. So it's an interesting program, and we're going to be delving into the depths of ufology and British ufology at that.
How interesting.
Yeah. So we got a big program this week. So lots of big stuff this week. Big week on the program. So that's this week, and we've got some big weeks coming up. We've got, of course, Christmas week next week, and we've got an anniversary week after. So
Exciting.
yeah, big stuff. So for Jessica Freeberger, I'm Tim Dennis. Thank you so much for joining us today. We'll see you tomorrow for Supernatural News, and thank you so much for listening to the best in true crime podcasting. This is True Crime Tuesday.